This episode of Higher Journeys is brought to you in part by Gaia, the world's largest conscious media network, streaming on all of your favorite devices. Sonja Grace, a mystic healer, energy surgeon, psychic, shamanic practitioner. There are labels without substance, and then there are those who embody those very qualities. Sonja Grace is one of those individuals. Her gifts, she says, began at a very early age. Her ability to tap into the subtle realms of this planet and multiple dimensions, gain insight from wise guides, and impart that knowledge to the many people she has helped around the world is what Sonja does so flawlessly and with uncanny accuracy. I had the pleasure of spending some time with Sonja while in the UK, and I have seen her gifts at work with my own eyes. I wanted to engage Sonja in a conversation about the recent Mercury Retrograde, but not from a typical or canned perspective. No surprise, Sonja gave us much more than meets the eye or the typical astrological profile. Hers was deeply insightful and candid, with no shortage of useful advice to those who may find themselves navigating what appears to be the most challenging of times. Let's listen in to what Sonja had to share. Sonja, you know the feeling when you first meet someone and there's an absolute connection right from the start. And I have to say, that was certainly the case when I met you just over a week or so ago, while we were both at the wonderful Awakening UFO and Conscious Life Expo in Manchester over in the UK. And I'm going to say, what a trip, both literally and figuratively, wouldn't you say?
It was really a trip. And I have to tell you, I'm really delighted to be on your show and to have reconnected, re-met in Manchester. That was a fabulous expo. There were tons of people, and I had such a good time, and I just adore Mike Anthony, and I'm so happy that we got to be there.
Absolutely. It was really a nice bonding session and bonding with all the folks over in the UK. So shout out to you journeyers. I'm going to say right now, shout out to you all in the UK. We hope to see you again soon.
Yeah, well, and we hope you cool down, because it's like 101 there today.
Yeah, it's really been, of course, right after we left, right? We had the windswept rain and I heard a rumor there was a tornado somewhere, and then I guess we needed to just leave so they could get,
I know.
So
they could get back to their summer.
Right. Oh my gosh. Well, listen, after our several amazing conversations while we were over there, I knew I needed to have you on the show, Sonja, and in short order. And I want to thank you so much for making the time, of which I know is very tight for you, to agree to come on and discuss what I think is a very important and timely matter. So I want to formally thank you and welcome you to Higher Journeys Radio for the very first time.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I'm really, I'm so honored, and I really appreciate being able to connect with your listeners and be able to share some things of what you and I discussed over in Manchester.
Oh, yeah. Well, there's a lot. So we're going to dig right in. Well, listen, I've been trying to figure out just how to open up this discussion with you, Sonja, having to do with this period that we're in right now. We're actually sort of on the back end. Soon we'll be looking at it in the rearview mirror, hopefully, and that is Mercury Retrograde. Now, as you well know, Mercury Retrograde periods happen typically 3 or 4 times in a calendar year, but it seems that these, what I'll call MRs of late, have been gaining in intensity, and along with it can come or appear to be complete tumult, confusion, and topsy-turvy conditions. This was one of those, and no exception, I would say. So you and I witnessed one such incident that you sensed would happen several days before it occurred while we were in Manchester. And I'm not going to get into the details of that on this show, not to do here. But your being so accurate and picking up on some of the energies at the time had me so intrigued that I thought our audience would benefit greatly from your insight into this and other matters. So I want to start with a question, Sonja. What are we dealing with right now? I mean, I know this is more than just Mercury in retrograde. What are some of the other elements at play?
Well, first of all, as a mystic and a healer in my daily life of, working with people on the phone, long distance, all over the world, I love astrology. I call myself a junior astrologer, but I am not by trade an astrologer. I am by trade someone who looks at all the signs. I look at everything that's coming in. If the guy at the grocery store who's bagging my groceries is talking to me, in my opinion, that's God talking to me through that guy. Anybody who talks to me, that is Creator speaking directly to me. I pay attention to everything that comes through because it is a message from above. And I believe that, Mercury being retrograde, yeah, we all go through all these things with it. We're late. They lost our bags from Dublin to Manchester. I mean, things like that.
Same with me. For the record, that's where we first bonded.
That's right. And it's common. But the thing I always say about Mercury retrograde is that it's a time for do-overs. If you notice during this retrograde time, there's things that you did not get to resolve a long time ago that are suddenly in your face again, and they're getting a do-over. There's another chance to make it right. And so to me, this is the positive side to Mercury retrograde, is how can I reapproach this person or situation and have a do-over and make it right. And the other influence that we've got going on that is tremendous during this Mercury retrograde is we have Jupiter retrograde, we have Saturn retrograde, and we have Pluto retrograde. All three of those planets are heavy hitting, hardcore, serious stuff. Jupiter is the planet of good fortune, everything that you want, everything that you desire. Jupiter is the planet that we need in our chart to bring us that fruition of whatever it is we're trying to manifest. When Jupiter is retrograde, I always say in the game of Monopoly, you get the get out of jail free card. There is no get out of jail free card when Jupiter is retrograde. There is you just have to deal with it. And then you have Saturn, which is this hard-hitting, hardcore planet that leaves no stone unturned. When Saturn's retrograde, you're busy looking at everything that you did not want to look at, and you're having to deal with it. And then Pluto retrograde is, Pluto to me is the, do it or die planet. It's the, get it or forget about it. It's Pluto. There is total transformation with Pluto. So Pluto being retrograde, basically I have said to my clients, this is everybody's dark night of the soul. This last 3 months have been super, super hard in many aspects for people. So it's not, we can't dump it all on Mercury. There's other aspects going on, and everything's going direct here pretty soon. We've got Mercury going direct on August 1st. We have Jupiter going direct, thank God, August 12th. We have Saturn going direct September 18th.
Oh my.
And we have Pluto going direct October 3rd.
So it sounds like we're going to still have, again, thank you for that, the clarity of that, really succinct in how you explain not just one planet in retrograde, but four in all, and all being very intense. So we've got Mercury going direct in the next day or two. By the time this show airs, it'll be about a day. But we've got three more planets that are still going to be wreaking a little bit of havoc. What do we need to be looking for there? How do we navigate that, Sonja?
Well, and we haven't even discussed the fact that Neptune is retrograde, and we have not discussed that Uranus goes retrograde August 12th. So not being an astrologer, and being very much a mystic in my approach to all the things that I receive as in messages from my guides and working with higher energies, I want to say that we've all noticed around the world, no matter where you are, that there's some very wonky things going on. There's difficulty in relationships with people, in communities, in countries, all the way down the line. There seems to be sort of a friction, an energy that's very difficult for people to deal with. There's a lot of intolerance, there's a lot of impatience, and there's a lot of anger. And all of these things, in my humble opinion, have to do with this energy being retrograde, meaning it's sort of like the universe is saying, "Oh, you guys all really need to take some kind of assessment here
Yes, I
of
agree.
how out of control your anger and your lack of compassion is."
Right. I agree with you wholeheartedly. In fact, one of my
Yeah.
questions was, I've always been one who sensed that the tumult that we've been experiencing of late, particularly now, is in some sense a universal calling for all of us to ultimately recognize our gifts. I like to say the madness, there's magic within the magic, or there's magic within the madness if we can
Right.
understand that perhaps this is a lesson in entropy reduction. I always like to borrow
Yeah.
from Tom Campbell's wonderful phrase, we're in an entropy reduction trainer for souls. Would you agree
Hmm.
with that?
Yes, I would, and I want to add to for your listeners that in this spiritual community that we are all in, there becomes a pressure, if you will, that somehow we have to be something. We have to be psychic. We have to be sensitive. We have to be empathic. We have to become a Reiki worker. We have to become something. And I really want to take everybody off the hook and simply say who you are and who you came through as a soul in a body on the earth is absolutely perfect. It is absolutely beautiful as that is. And that the only thing required of all of us is to love at the deepest level of our being. That's it. If we all sat in meditation and simply, allowed ourselves to love everyone around the world as much as we love our children and our parents and our dog and our cat, we would accomplish truly what we are meant to accomplish being here. So the need to become, I think, is a little bit over the top because we by nature we are so competitive and we are extremely addicted in
Yeah,
our society. We're
I
very
agree.
addicted.
Yeah, I,
Yeah.
I agree with you. And I dare say we all know, Sonia, that this is a part of the program, the indoctrination, perhaps over millennia. And, humanity has fallen for it. So
Yeah.
that's a
Yeah.
very, thank you for that message. We can't hear it enough. Whatever iteration needs to be expressed, love is the way, as cliche as it sounds. And yet it seems because we're being reminded of the antithesis of that every day. We look at our medias, particularly our mainstream medias, and it's showing us the opposite. We're falling into the resonance of that.
Yeah.
We've got to hear from people like yourself more often to say, don't fall for it. Love is the way.
Hmm.
This brings me to a
Hmm.
question I want to ask you. And I really want to keep this on the glass half full versus its opposite. But I
Yes.
want to ask you now. You have the guides that you talk so lovingly about, and so they're so integral to your life. They seem to walk side by side with you, and they're so willing to impart great knowledge and understanding to you. Have they given you any sense, Sonia, as to whether or not we as a species are right now being interfered with at some level?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, that is a big part of the human race. I learned, and in all of my research, believe that the human form, our human physical form, came to Earth 20 million years ago, and that over the time of 20 million years, we have experienced different phases of humanity, where what I call demigods or star beings, and these are the good guys, come through and sort of help shape and formulate different areas around the world of humans, giving them, direction and ceremony and, all the things that people have learned and brought through time. And certainly we see with, artifacts and things that have been found in various sites around the world. So you have all of that influence, but then you have the ET influence. And
Mm-hmm.
ETs are very different from demigods. ETs are more like the human being, the human form, in that they are not, demigod status. The demigods are right up there with the angels and, right up there next to creator. The aliens that we're talking about now, grays, reptilians, shadow aliens, all the different types that come through, these guys are much more they have agendas. They have things that they want. And they have ideas about this planet and about the human race that they would like to see happen. One group may want to take over the human race because they don't like the way we've managed things. One group may want to get tissue samples from us and create hybrids like the Greys have done. There's agendas. That's the whole point. They have an agenda. And there is a lot of interference. I believe that there is a dumbing down, if you will, a vibration that dumbs down humanity, keeps us in a state of inertia and, sort of this amnesia that we can't remember where we've been and what we did in past lives. And I feel, not as a victim, but as someone observing the energies of this planet, that this is what goes on a lot. And if we bring this full circle back to addiction, when people are indulging, as humans love to do, in various addictions, from alcohol to computers, the internet, gaming, all kinds of addictions that we have, we allow that energy to come in because now we've lowered our vibration. We've lowered everything in our energy field so that other energy can come in and infiltrate.
Interesting. That makes sense perfectly.
So for your listeners, the ray of hope in all of that is we have free will and we can say no. And no is very powerful because when you have free will, you can actually stop anything from coming into your space by using that word, no.
Just no. Okay. Just say no.
Just say no. That's right.
Okay. That's right. With power. Well, I always felt that the spoken word, and I'm as a speaker, speaking out loud a lot. There's something even more powerful to that spoken word. Say it out loud because it has its own vibration and will resonate with it will magnetize the circumstances of which you speak. It works both ways, of course. So I think that's incredibly powerful. Well, you talk about, you've given us a lot there and a lot to kind of ponder in terms of that interference factor. And we've heard semblances of this before, but I'm wondering, Sonja, are there some people it seems that some individuals are less impervious to the effects of all of this, including the retrogrades, including the interference, than others. Why do you think that is? I know we're different, but
we are all different. And here, after doing this work for 38 years, I have heard the phrase, we are all one, so many times it's enough to make your hair curl. And the part that's missing in that, again, is the addiction part. And that is that when we don't have healthy boundaries, when we don't understand this is my stuff, that's your stuff. Okay, you're really empathic. You need really good boundaries so that you're not taking on other people's stuff. We get that phrase mixed into all of that. Oh, we are all one. I've had people write me emails and say, I'm just like you and I have this and that and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, what creates all of us to be unique and individual is we all have karma. And your past lives and when you came through to Earth is different than my past lives and when I came through to Earth. And what I came here to do is different than what you came here to do. And everybody came here with a purpose. And that purpose is what we're all trying to get back to. And our lives have paralleled that purpose to some extent. For example, I've always been a healer. I've always been a mystic and worked in the unseen world. That's been my path. That's what I had to do coming through here. But someone else may have the path of being what do you call that? You mix gold and metals.
An alchemist.
An alchemist, yes. And they came here to Earth to actually study the metals of the Earth, because ultimately, lifetime after lifetime, they were an alchemist. And so everybody's different, but we all share something, which is why we get this phrase, we are all one, so convoluted and kind of mixed up. And that is, we all have a palette of emotions, and we all share the same emotions: grief, anger, joy, frustration, rejection, abandonment, betrayal. We all share this stuff. And that's where we can relate to each other and say, wow, I feel really angry. Well, so do I. And and then we get that connection of those emotions going, and then here's the tricky part. Then we start to create more karma, because we have actually connected those emotions like energy to each other, literally like lines of energy going to each other. So what's the solution to that? We need to ground our energy. We need to ground those
Let's talk
emotions.
about that. Let's talk about grounding energy. I'm glad you brought that up. Oh, you're just really hitting it hard, girlfriend, today. This is great stuff. You're on it. Let's talk about grounding. I know that this has been talked about in several different contexts. There are people that have talked about some of the things that are going on under our earth that may not make grounding as effective as it used to be. Then there's others that say, let's get our bare feet on the ground. Can you talk about that and maybe give a little bit of advice as to how we would go about that? Have you had a Gaia experience yet? Have you seen the depth of offerings in their library? Have you watched one of the brand new original TV series that Gaia.com produces on their own with zero TV commercials interrupting the moment? From yoga to UFOs and everything in between, Gaia is building a community of seekers connected to a specific mission on planet Earth. They are here to empower the evolution of consciousness. As our culture becomes more connected, Gaia is bringing all the knowledge and wisdom collected from luminaries across the globe right into your living room. 550,000 members and counting are here to explore who are we and why are we here, with specialists in metaphysics, ancient wisdom, the unexplained, and more. Only on Gaia. You can join for only 99 cents. Take it for a test drive and take advantage of my special offer exclusive to the Higher Journeys audience. We'll see you over at Gaia.com.
Sure. I teach, the basis of my work is a grounding meditation that I teach in all of my workshops, all of my meditation retreats. This is the basis of my work. And I feel that grounding our energy, connecting our energy deep into the earth, and receiving earth energy back up into our bodies is really important, because our first relationship here on this planet is with her, is with the earth. Yes, we all feel connected to each other, and we have soulmates, and we have all these, connections to people that are karmic. But our real relationship, and first and foremost relationship, is with the planet. And if we get that, and we really get that our energy is supposed to be going deep into the planet, and we receive energy back up into our bodies, there's a whole different understanding and connection that we have to everything that's going on, organic and otherwise. I mean, it's amazing when we start doing this. And I always, the quick grounding, this is not the meditation that I teach, but the quick one is just to open up the bottom of your feet and let the top of your head be open, and imagine a beautiful river of water running down through your body, out your feet into the ground, and just wash away anything that doesn't need to be there.
I love it.
It can flow down your arms, out your hands into the earth. And it can just wash all that stuff that you're holding in your body deep into the earth.
So I'm assuming that we do need to take the step of taking our shoes off. Obviously, weather conditions for most of us are right for doing that. Get outside, take your shoes off, and then do this visual of this washing coming in through the head and then out through the feet. I love it.
I call it run the river. And years ago, I used to teach, I was a classical ballerina. And
yes, I learned that. I saw some footage that you look beautiful.
Thank you. I was with the Oregon Shakespeare Festival for 10 years. And I used to teach a seniors class, kind of a movement for seniors. And I just love these people. I think the youngest was 75 and the oldest was 95.
Oh my goodness, that's
and,
beautiful.
they all had a chair and they all had to stand with their chair. But I did this run the river exercise with them at the end of every class. And every single person in that class that had high blood pressure came to me and said their blood pressure had gone down from doing that.
Wow, I love it.
Yeah,
And
it
yet
was
it
so
makes
cool.
sense.
It
Well,
was so cool.
think
Yeah.
of that. That's powerful. But think about what we're talking about, Sonja. We're talking about taking an element as powerful as water, and we
Right.
know that water is conscious. We know that we are
Right.
inextricably linked to water. So bringing
Mm-hmm.
that in and having that wash through us, and then the next thing I would wonder. Let's see if I can get your thoughts on this. We talk about alchemy. I look at the earth as being an alchemist. So if
Mm-hmm.
we're giving the earth our problems and saying, compost this for me,
Mm-hmm.
alchemize it, transmute it,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
is that happening? Can that happen?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, her abilities as a being are, far exceed anything that we, humble mere little humans can understand.
Yeah.
She is a powerful being, and all the planets in the universe have a being in them. It's just her body happens to be round, and that's her body. But she's ancient. She's old. She's been in this body for millions of years, and she can handle it. She has a way of transforming that energy. And years ago, I remember seeing her. I call her the goddess. She literally rose up out of the earth. She was huge, and she stood looming over me, and she said, the thing that makes me really sad is, she says, people used to bring me their problems. They used to tell me their stories. They used to talk to me, and sit with me and share what was going on. And then she kind of looked away and she looked really sad and she said, they don't do that anymore. That's all she said.
Isn't
She
that?
didn't blame us. She didn't say, well, humans have really, fallen off track, whatever. She just said they don't do that anymore. And I thought, oh my God, we are so lucky. We are so blessed to be on this planet. And yes, that's what people did in the old days. We didn't have freaking phones and TV and everything. We sat on rocks and we talked to the earth. We talked to
Absolutely.
her.
And
We shared what was
right.
going on.
Oh,
Yeah.
this is so, that's, how long ago did you get that message from her?
Oh God, that was, 20 years ago. Yeah.
So easy.
Yeah.
Do you suppose we're being called back to her? I feel like I want to cry right now.
Mhm.
I
Yeah,
really
we
do.
are.
Are
We
we
are.
being called back to her to say, I welcome you, to give me the
Yes.
burdens, all the things that you all are complaining about and the things that are making you unhappy? I'm here. Just recognize me, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Journeyers, I think this is powerful. I hope you're listening to every word Sonja has to say. I know I am, and I'm going to put some of these things into action. Well,
we
go ahead. I'm sorry.
we have so much attention because of the internet placed upon how we look, how our presentation is, what our social media is, I mean, there is so much pressure on people in weird ways to be almost like performing. I posted a picture, I did this, and they saw that, and it's like, oh my God, people, we have to stop
I know.
being so attached to that in the way that we are, and get back to the planet and what's really important here. Because I'm telling you, she has her cycles and her things that she goes through naturally. And one of the things I see us heading for, which is why we're in a warming trend, is eventually we will start to cool. And when the earth starts to cool, we will get ready and go into an ice age. And this has been the way of this planet for millions of years. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, always moving, always movement, never stagnant. So, in
That's
cycles.
right.
You visit so many of our well-known and maybe even not so well-known megalithic sites. What have you been getting from some of the areas that you've gone to recently in terms of messages? Because this is all part of planet Earth. This is the Great Mother.
Yeah. Well, a lot of the stone circles that I've visited in the UK, and one in particular in Norway, I went to, called Stoppelstein, and it is it's a really ancient stone circle. And I created an oracle deck. It's called Odin and the Nine
Yes, I wanted to
Realms.
bring that up.
Yeah,
Talk about that.
well, it comes out August 20th, and I saw all the Norse gods literally walk out of this portal, which is what these stone circles are. They're portals, and they shared a lot of information. They took me into all the nine realms. The book is fantastic that goes with the cards, and I did all the artwork for the cards, my depiction of all the Norse gods and the realms and all of it. And, the thing that was so interesting to me that I have seen and experienced is both at this stone circle and many, Castlerig and Swinside and Avebury Circle and Stonehenge, these portals either receive energy from the cosmos or energy leaves the earth out to the cosmos, or both are received and transmitted. And this is what Stonehenge is. It receives and it transmits. Mm-hmm. But I'll tell you, when we went to Castlerig, which is in the Lake District in the UK, that was wild. I mean, that was seriously wild. I was with a whole group. It was a camera crew, and a bunch of us we went into this stone circle, and it's like everything changed. This particular circle is one that receives cosmic energy, and it is, in my opinion, my research and what I saw, it is the bridge that we, that bridges us to other worlds. I mean, it's amazing, and we were all high when we got out of that circle. I mean, it literally felt like we were high. Everything, time, space, everything shifted. It was wild.
I've had that experience. I the last time I was in the UK was last September, and a colleague brought me to a place called Stanton Drew, which is in the county of Somerset, near Glastonbury, mm-hmm. Bristol area. Mm-hmm. And have you heard of that, Stanton Drew?
Yes, I've heard of it. I haven't been there.
It's really quite amazing, and it's kind of a little secret. A lot of people are not aware of it, but he brought me there, and we went into this incredible circle, and immediately I felt a sense. Well, I'll tell you, I felt like I wanted to collapse. Actually, it was very intense. Yeah. He, on the other hand, who had been dealing with a bit of a physical debilitation, felt the opposite effect. He felt energized. So it's almost like it was a source of balance, but I definitely felt a shift when I walked into that space.
Well, Avebury Circle is not far from Stonehenge, and it's huge. It actually encompasses a village that was built in the, like one side of the circle and on the inside of the circle. But Avebury Circle, back in the day, from the research that I've done and traveling there, it was literally considered a hospital. It was a place where people went to be healed, and they had these pits. They were like healing pits, and you would stand in this one area where they would assess what your healing problems were, and then what you needed to have healed, and then you would get sent to one of these pits. So, and here's the connection to the cosmos. If you were sent to one of these pits for healing, you were transported literally through a portal for the healing. We're talking off-planet stuff. You were transported through this portal, right, healed, and then brought back. And this is happening around, 8,000 BC. This is after the Ice Age receded. This is when the Pleiadians, or the beings that I call the Ancient Ones, came and gave the people ceremonies and all kinds of rituals. They're the ones that are responsible for the megaliths being moved and placed around 4,000 BC at Stonehenge. Stonehenge is a much bigger circle than just what we have seen. Mm-hmm. And they have discovered now through technology that there's a much larger site there in Salisbury Plain that indicates stones underground.
I was going to say subterranean. This is a subterranean. Yes. Okay, interesting.
Yes. Yes.
Well, this reminds me of where I will forever talk about. I'm actually going back to Uluru and Katajuta in Central Australia. Have you been there? Have you been to Uluru as yet?
No, I haven't. No, no.
That is a place that I would so recommend. I know you will connect with it, but you're familiar with it, yes?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yet again, another incredible. They call it the sacral chakra of the planet, actually, the sacred, the sacral. And I had the honor of being in the presence of her, this red massive rock. But it's said that the structure and the energies that fluctuate around it are much larger even than the actual rock's formation.
Yes.
So what is
Yes.
going on underground, Sonja? What's happening underground?
Well, the first beings to come to Earth long before humans were here were the beings that I call the Savrok, and they're the ancient ant people. There's very little recorded about the ant people. You know, my tribe, the Hopis, we talk about the ant people once in a while, but not very often. It's kind of one of those things that isn't mentioned a lot. But they have been here since the beginning, and they are the ones that have created all of the underground tunnels and all the areas underground that, humans have repeatedly been saved during floods and massive, earth changes. It's the ant people who have been, who have saved them throughout time. And they live underground, and they take care of a lot of stuff underground. But I also experienced in my travels through Odin and the Nine Realms that there is a whole group of people that live underground.
Right now.
Yes, yes. And it's really, I think it's really amazing what's going on this planet that we don't know about.
Sure. Oh, so much.
Yeah. Yeah.
Will there be a revelation, do you think, in terms of what's happening? Do you need to take a sip of water? If you do, I can.
No.
Okay.
No, I'm fine.
Let
Thank
me know.
you.
Do you think that we're one day, as a mass society, going to know for sure that this is the case? What's really happening beyond, not just beyond our five senses, but beyond, below our feet, in our skies, and in our midst that we may not be able to see at this moment? Revelation.
I believe one really good example as to what we can take, what we can handle as a species, and I'm talking about the masses, is take the event of Fukushima. Take that event, look at the series of things that happened, boom, boom, boom. We're all watching it on TV. We're all watching the water pull back and then this massive wave. We watched that. And there's a lot of things to be said when there's an event like that, a huge event like that affects so many people, how we are able to handle that, assimilate that. And I firmly believe that Creator is not going to give us anything that we can't handle. That's the motto I live by. It's certainly with all the people that I work with day in and day out. And I hear some of the hardest, most heartbreaking stories that you could even possibly imagine. And I know that because I have that faith and that total trust that Creator's got this, this is not going to be something that we can't handle. We will be able to handle it. It's really about us taking responsibility and ownership that we are the adults, that our inner child is being parented and cared for by us. And as adults, we can handle this. And I tell you, the one thing we really do need to handle, like get on it yesterday, is the health and well-being of this planet. Because without this planet, obviously without the bees and clean water and the ability to have, good, healthy food growing, we don't really stand a chance.
Right. Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
So I'm really big on promoting hydroponics, get a tower garden, call Danielle, my gal who sells Juice Plus, and buy a tower garden, start growing healthy food in your own yard. You don't even have to use the soil to plant it. Get a tower garden. I mean, there's so many things that we can do.
So many. Agreed.
That's just a little bit from each person taking their part, taking responsibility. But see, because of the internet, we all get overwhelmed. Oh my God, this whole species of animals is dying. What can I possibly do? And then we become depressed and we move into a state of inertia because we can't do anything.
Which is not true. And we know we can.
It's exactly.
Yeah. It's about retreat. And I go back to this idea of solitude and silence. And yes, outside if at all possible. But the answers come in those gaps of silence. And we've got to allow ourselves that time. You know, none of what we're talking about is new. They say there's nothing new under the sun. But bringing this full circle, we're going to have to close this down shortly, unfortunately, but we're going to have you back, of course. Looking at the retrograde, Sonja, this is how we started this conversation, is as hideous as they seem, and they are definitely getting more intense by the each time we have one. Right. Could that in and of itself be a teacher to show us some of the things that you're talking about, to push us in that direction where we're self-sustainable, eventually becoming a type 1 civilization even? But do we have to be in the midst of all of this tumult to get on the other side of it?
You know, again, just like the guy who's bagging my groceries in the grocery store, everything in my life is a teacher to me. Everything. I walk outside, I hear a loud noise, they're doing construction across the street. I allow that to teach me something about my own tolerance or patience or understanding, or wow, look at, they just put the roof on. That's cool. You know, it's like
when you want to say, stop the noise.
I know, exactly. Everything has to be something that teaches us, or we start to lose that thread that we all need to compassion and to understanding and to having, really to having compassion for each other. If we don't let each other teach each other, then we lose compassion. And I think, like I said, day in and day out, I'm on the phone doing healing work on people, and I really appreciate all of my clients and their stories because I learn from them. I learn, and I have endless compassion for them because I know that in everybody's reality, in everybody's world of what they are, the biggest thing that I feel each person needs is to be heard, is to be seen, and is to be loved.
I don't think there's anything else to say.
I know.
Miss Wise Woman. Wise words from a beautiful, beautiful soul. And mark my words on that, because I got to spend some time with her. You're simply beautiful.
Thank you.
Listen, I think you'll agree, journeyers, that this was an extraordinarily insightful conversation today. I want to encourage each and every one of you, if you enjoyed this episode, and particularly if you know someone that might resonate with some of what you heard today from Sonja, I urge you, you know what's coming, to like and share this content with your circle of friends and family. Will you now approach these retrograde periods, really life going forward, differently after hearing what Sonja had to say? Can you help someone else do so from what you've learned today? Well, if so, please go ahead and share and spread the word about my conversation with Sonja. And of course, if you enjoy Higher Journeys, I invite you to subscribe to our channel for brand new episodes each and every week. And stay tuned, because Sonja is coming back. Well, I should pose it as a question. Will you come back?
Oh, I would love to. And I just want to say people can find me at Sonja, Sonja, Grace, Grace.com.
Absolutely. Thank you. You took the words out of my mouth, and we will make sure we have a link. Tell us very briefly, I know you've got some stuff going on, which you can find out at SonjaGrace.com, but tell us a couple of things that are coming right up for you.
Well, on September 28th and 29th, I will be presenting a lecture a Saturday at 2:00 at Transcendence. It's a big event in Sedona. And then I'm also teaching an incredible meditation retreat on the island of Molokai in Hawaii. Beautiful. And that is in January. It's on my website. of course, you can always find me at the Conscious Life Expo in February
We'll
in
see you
Los
there.
Angeles, and
Yay.
I will see you there. Yes.
Absolutely.
Yay.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. All right, journeyers, you know the deal. She's got a lot of stuff out there. And by the way, I'm also going to give a plug to Gaia because you've got a show on Gaia, yes?
Yeah, well, I'm on several shows. I'm
Yeah.
on Ancient
Right.
Civilizations. I'm interviewed by George Norrie and Lisa Garr. I'm one of the episodes of Great Minds. Yes.
Beautiful. So
Yeah.
maybe we'll put a link to Gaia as well so you
Hmm.
can find the great work of Sonja Grace. So what can I say? I
Thank you.
miss you already. I
I
miss having
know.
our chats in the. I want to give a shout out to Hotel Football in Manchester. You got a great
Right.
place there, and the meals were good. We broke bread together. We had a great time. So
We did. We ate a lot of salad together.
we did indeed. Yes. Well, thank you, Sonja. I
Thank
so
you.
appreciate you, and as always,
Thank you.
journeyers, I appreciate you too. We'll see you next time. Take care.